This is why Bitcoin is becoming a national security issue. For a long time, Bitcoin was treated as something separate from the financial system. If the price moved sharply, it mostly affected people inside crypto. That assumption no longer holds. Today, Bitcoin is increasingly embedded in global finance. Large investment funds hold it. Institutions use it as collateral. Exposure to Bitcoin now extends far beyond early adopters and retail traders. That changes the consequences of failure. If Bitcoin were to experience a serious breakdown, the damage would not stay contained. It would spread into balance sheets, markets, and broader financial confidence. This is where scale becomes the central issue. When Bitcoin was small, volatility was a manageable, contained problem. At its current size, the same volatility can trigger systemic reactions. Funds reduce risk, positions unwind, liquidity disappears at the worst possible moment. As Bitcoin's impact on global markets grows, incentives change as well. When an asset meaningfully affects financial conditions, there is an incentive to disrupt it, not necessarily to profit directly, but to weaken confidence and create wider stress. This is where market risk begins to overlap with security risk. And this is where quantum computing enters the discussion. Quantum computers are not simply faster versions of today's machines. They operate using different physical principles. There is broad agreement among Bitcoin developers that quantum computers do not pose an immediate threat to Bitcoin today. But security planning is not about what is possible today. It is about what becomes possible before a system can realistically adapt. Bitcoin wallets rely on cryptographic assumptions that were established decades ago. Those assumptions remain safe for now, but long-term advances in computing challenge how long they can be relied upon. As quantum computing continues to develop, Bitcoin wallets themselves become part of the long-term risk landscape. This risk is not evenly distributed. Older wallets are more exposed than newer ones. Wallets that have already been used reveal information that cannot be taken back. As Bitcoin grows more important, even limited exposure becomes more consequential. The deeper issue, however, is not the cryptography itself. It is coordination. Bitcoin is not a centralized system. There is no authority that can mandate an upgrade, no emergency switch, no executive decision. Every meaningful protocol change requires widespread agreement across a decentralized network. This is intentional. It is one of Bitcoin's defining features, but it also creates a constraint. Developers who work closely with the protocol have consistently warned that migrating Bitcoin to post-quantum security standards would take 5 to 10 years, not because the technical solutions are unclear, but because coordinating such a migration at global scale is extremely difficult. A post-quantum transition would not be instantaneous. It would not be retroactive. Existing coins would need to move gradually to new security standards. That creates timing pressure. If preparation begins early, the transition can be orderly. If it begins late, the system is forced to react under stress, and stress changes behavior. Fees rise. Users rush to move funds. Coordination becomes harder rather than easier. There are millions of wallets, different levels of technical knowledge, different incentives, and different timelines. If too many people try to act at once, the network cannot absorb it smoothly. This is why timing matters more than technology. Bitcoin does not fail because a solution does not exist. It fails when solutions arrive too late to be adopted calmly. This is also why comparisons to banks miss the point. If a bank faces a serious security risk, it can shut systems down. It can block access. It can coordinate internally and push updates. Bitcoin has none of those options. There is no pause button, no central response team, no way to force users to act. Everything depends on voluntary coordination. That is why developers emphasize preparation over panic. Quantum computers are not an immediate threat, but the window for an orderly transition is long, and it closes faster than most people expect.